which I wasn't really looking forward to doing because I had just moved and put together my classroom and spent the whole summer doing that. So moving your classroom and redoing all that within a 3-day period definitely was not fun, but I am so overjoyed that I did move to that school because I learned a lot of new things. This is the first official day of pre-planning. I am now going to continue setting up what I started the other day. I've created this system where I have these hooks on the back of my bulletin board, and that's where I hang my keys because every time I put my keys down, I lose them. This was my furniture request that I made at the end of last year, so it's been fulfilled. I am going to focus on my lamps first because the first thing I want to get rid of are these bright lights. Goodbye to this cushion seat, and goodbye to these bright lights. I like for my classroom to have a calmer vibe. Now, there's only been one school that I've been at where I was not allowed to use my lamps. I had to use the fluorescent lights, so I tried to cover the lights, but it still did not have the same vibe that I wanted it to. These are my book boxes. This is where my kids put their journals and their activity folders each day, and then I also let them pull books to put inside those book boxes. This way, if they finish work early, they can go pull a book and read it. But currently, I am rewriting the numbers on there so that they're solidified. With me changing themes this year, there are big objects in my classroom that I also want to change as far as color or style, so this is one of those things that will eventually be changed. In the moving process, we have to put our last name and our room number on every piece of furniture that we have moving so that way it doesn't get lost. I have officially changed my name this year, so it's throwing everybody off. I'm now going to finish hanging everything else that has not been hung on the walls yet. Remember, as I told you, everything that I hang on my walls is typically stuff that I've created on my own. I usually purchase the art from people on Etsy, and I make these through PowerPoint, but I'm going to start making the transition to Canva. Typically on the first day of pre-planning, we always have a big staff meeting that typically runs a little long, so this is where I ended for today. I got more done, but not as much as I would have liked to. And I'm always terrified to touch these crates each year because once I touch them, life gets chaotic. This is day 2 of pre-planning. This is the day where I actually got the most completed. Each year I try to go through all my things and I try to declutter things, and especially with me changing themes, there's a lot that I'm getting rid of this year. For example, right now I'm pulling these clips off of these Mickey heads because I'm not doing Disney theme anymore. So I'm going to give the Mickey heads to someone in the school that I know is doing a Disney theme, but I'm going to keep my clips. This bucket is filled with a lot of my decor things that I hang on the wall, either things that I've made or things that I bought from Hobby Lobby or things that were gifted. So I'm just separating everything, either throwing it away, putting it in a pile for donations, or putting it in a pile to sell. I typically try to declutter as I move, and even at the end of each school year. At the end of last school year, I didn't have as much time to declutter things because I had to get it all moved so that the new person could move into my room. I considered coming in over the summer, but I really had to put my own personal kids as priority. I wanted to make sure that they had a great summer and got to experience just life and having fun with them. So I did not really spend much time besides the one day that I came in over the summer. I'm more so focused on working on trainings that I had to get completed and working on my digital things that I had printed out to create for my classroom. Now the chaos begins because I'm going to start unpacking all of the crates. The crates have dual purpose. When I realized that I was moving to Alabama, that year I decided for the kids' cubbies, I was going to make crates be their cubbies. This way when I moved, I wasn't going to have to look for 5 million boxes, and this just worked so much better. I would also try to color code what went into each color crate. So in the pink crates, I would typically put the toys and games for the kids. In the teal crates, I typically put stationery items or things that go on my desk, any kind of things that I use. And then with the white crates, I typically put like cleaning supplies, any kind of electronics, like extension cords or power cords. And then towards the end, you always have a few of those random item buckets where you just kind of start throwing things in because you don't really know where to put it. Every school that you teach at, you have that yearly mandatory training that you must do, so I'm also doing that at the same time while I'm working on this. As I am unpacking all of the crates, I am also setting up my cubby area, getting that situated so I can figure out what that's going to look like. And I'm utilizing the tables to be able to separate all of the things that are coming out of the crates. I'm either able to put the things coming out straight away where they're supposed to go, or I'm having to kind of put it on the tables and categorize it until I can put it where it needs to be. And I don't know if it's just me, but I am also going through my brain and thinking about 25 million things that I could do with this stuff, or different systems I can create to organize things better. So my brain is also racing through lots of things as I'm pulling everything out of the crates. As I'm pulling down all of the pink crates, I'm pulling those to the front of the room because I decided I'm going to make that the area where all the toys go this year. In years past, I've put the toys on this shelf where I'm pulling everything down from, but it's always an issue because the kids are having to climb up and get the things off the shelf. So I put it on their level this year to try to see if it would function better in our classroom flow, and also away from the backpacks, because as you can see, the cubbies are going right underneath the shelf, so it makes it really, really hard for them to get up and do that. Then they're pulling backpacks out and backpacks are on the floor and kids are tripping over backpacks. So we're just trying something new this year. This is where I'm wiping down the crates as much as I can. Something else I typically try to do on the summers is take the crates home and hose them down piece by piece. But again, I didn't do much of that stuff this summer. I'm now going to start organizing all the crates and placing them the way that I want them to be so that they look visual. This is another thing that I do eventually want to change. I would like to change out the teal crates for either a natural colored or an apricot color or a green. Honestly, if I could just find the greens and stack them into, like the ones that stack into each other, because I've seen the other green that Target has, but those don't stack into each other. They don't have the little clips. So I'm going to look for the green. At this point, I do know that I have 20 students, so I am trying to make sure that I have at least 20 cubbies. I'm going to try to aim for at least 22 cubbies. At this school with this setup, typically there is a bar on this brown shelf where kids can hang their cubbies on hangers, or teachers typically have their kids put their backpacks on the backs of their chairs. I personally cannot handle either one of those options because with the hangers, the backpacks are always falling off the hangers. With the chairs, it just looks really messy around the room. When there's already so much happening in the classroom, then you have the backpacks hanging on the chairs. My visuals just can't handle that. Now, I will say, even though these crates interlock with each other, if the kids aren't careful as they're putting their backpacks in and out of the crates, it does become an issue. The crates start becoming undone and everything falls over. So something that I'm going to do this year is zip tie all of the crates together so that way we're not having that issue where all the crates are falling apart. I use these picture hangers. I use these specific ones for all of my heavy duty signs and things that I put up on the wall. The biggest thing when it comes to these is that they hold very well the whole entire school year. The important thing that you have to remember is when you set them, and I typically leave it for 24 hours and then I start hanging everything together, because the longer you give it to dry, the better it's going to dry and stay on the wall. As you can see, I put the pairs on together before I start to put it onto whatever surface I'm sticking it to, just so that I can make sure it's lined up how I want it to be. That one that's uneven is going to drive me crazy, but I'm just not going to look at it, and once it's covered up, you can't really tell. So when I first moved my classroom down here, the first thing that I did before I moved anything else was put the bulletin board up. I took my bulletin board down from my wall and walked it straight down the hallway and put it up on this wall. So now I just had some fine-tuning things that I had to do on this. The last thing that I got to for this day was to start working on covering up the back of this shelf because it is hideous. You will get to see the end product of what this becomes. This is where it ends on the second day of pre-planning. As I told you, once you start unpacking the crates, it gets very chaotic.